having me. It's really nice to be here. I'm going to make it as interactive as I can because, believe it or not, I am kind of shy. But, I'm going to ask a few questions. I'll ask the question and then we can talk about it. I'm talking about relationships today, but that's coming from what I do. I returned to work in September after being on maternity leave. And when I came back, I had to build up my practice again. Before I left, I have a son already, who's Jemima's friend. And now I have a 15-month-old. But before I went off, I had a big caseload of about 90 files, and somebody else took that over. So when I came back, it was about building up my caseload again. I do all my own advocacy, because in this country, you're not just a lawyer like in Nigeria, where everybody wears the wig and gown. Here, it's either you're a solicitor or a barrister. Now, I wanted to be a barrister from the outset, when we're talking about just going with what you want to do. And that's what I always wanted to do, because I like to argue, my mum says. And from when I was 3, she had this little video of me dancing on VHS, in which I said, I want to be a lawyer when I grow up. And my mum's held on to that, and that, that's fine. So the barrister's job here is basically, you go to court, you do the advocacy, and you return the file to the solicitor. The solicitor does all the day-to-day work and things like that. But I like going to court, but as a solicitor, you only have a right of audience in the magistrate's court and in the county court. But I wanted to do more. But it was very expensive. And my parents have got 6 kids. I mean, law school is very expensive. It cost about £8,000 when I went. And they didn't want me to get into debt, so they wanted to pay for this themselves. And I remember saying, it's too much, Mum, it's too much. I moved in when I was a teenager, so I entered some competitions in Tower Hamlets, which is the borough where I grew up. Yes, she was saying that East London is rubbish, hence the look I'm giving her right now. And by chance, somehow, I had to write an essay about how I'm going to change my area if I'm giving this grant. There were 2 grants. I just wrote anything. Yes, I'm going to be a pillar of the community when I come back and all that. I won both. Wow. So I got £4,000 and my parents were able to pay for the rest. Qualified as a solicitor. Then I thought, I really want to be a barrister. I want to do more. And you go through life, you get a job, you're lucky, and then you want more. And I was lucky enough. Are you on LinkedIn? Is anybody on LinkedIn? Yeah. I would say use LinkedIn.
Oh, yes, please do.
When I was in a position where I thought I need to change my job, a message just came on LinkedIn saying, do you want to come and join me at this firm? I thought, oh, great. And I go and join. And we had a deal with the boss. You do well, and whatever you want, you hit your targets, whatever you want in the first year, I'll give it to you. All right, fine. And I worked hard. And at that meeting, he said, what do you want to do? I said, I actually wanted to be a barrister, but it never worked for me. It was too expensive. He said, well, why don't you do the solicitor advocates course? That makes you pretty much a barrister. And I said, yeah, but that's very expensive. He said, yes. Well, I made a promise to you, didn't I?
Oh, wow.
And he paid for it, and I did it, and I passed it. He even paid for my family to stay in a hotel with me in Manchester for me to be able to do the course. What I'm saying, basically, with that, before I go to the cost of relationship, is whatever you want to do or whatever you want it to be, you may not be at that place right now, but you will get there. I wanted to go down the bar, didn't quite happen that way, but now I'm kind of in it, and I love what I do. So don't think that where you are right now is where you're going to end up. There are better things, and you must stop moaning. You've got to change stuff. If you're not happy about where you are, you've got to change things. Example, I know this is going to go online, but hey-ho, I wasn't happy. I'm at my current firm at the moment. That's why I'm not sharing cards, because something's changing. I said to God that I wanted the change when I go back to work, but it wasn't happening. I took 7 days out. I cried. My mom said, oh, titiri Jew, if you're Nigerian, you understand. You're too thin. Don't fast. Oh, break at 12. Oh. She said, you're disappearing. Oh, yeah. She's always on the phone. It's a religion. I pray in the morning, and I talk to my mom every morning in the car on the way to work. She said, don't do it, don't you? I said, no, Mom, I've got to do it. So for 7 days I fasted, and I remember my girls at work, because they always give me coffee, they come, do you want coffee? No, I'm fasting. Ooh, why? Do you want to lose some weight? No, actually. Excuse me. No. I said, I'm having a, because anytime they wind me up at work, I go, I'm going to report you to Jesus now. And I said I wanted a change. And the particular day that I cried and said I wanted a change, that was the particular day I got the call. So the tide is turning again. I think you saw that on Instagram. Yeah. Something new is coming again. Because whenever you want something, you can't mourn, you've got to go with it. Now moving on to relationships. How many of you are married? How many of you hope to be married? How many of you are in long-term relationships? Okay. Quite a few of us know what it's like to be in a relationship. I think, having come back to work, I've been seeing a lot of women, and I said that to Sister Bissy, it's really strange how I am me when I'm at work, and it's either you take me or you leave me, and that's how I don't think that I should sell myself. I think this sells me, and if you're not happy, move on. And when women come to see me, I instantly, it's not just women and men too, because it happens to them as well. If in a relationship you don't think about financial planning, you are completely off your rocker. You have to have your own. I'm not saying don't pull our money together. I'm not saying, I'm not an advocate for divorce. I'm going to say that right now, because my parents have been married for 40 odd years, and they still bicker with each other, Yasho and Babasho. But and they ring you to try and get you to come in the middle. You're like, not today. But you have to have your own, and that's one of the things that my mum taught me. You've got to have something, a side hustle. Even if it's not a side hustle, you've got to learn to save. When I came back to work, a lot of women, when we talk about divorce and separation, we always talk about financial disclosure, because before I can advise you on financial settlement, it's important that we have disclosure. So we ask people to provide 12 months bank statement, pay slips, pension details, and things like that. So I can look at what the other side has got and be able to say to you, this is what I think we should ask for. Now, I remember seeing somebody and I said, right, how much is the mortgage? I don't know. How much is the water rate? I don't know. How much is the council tax? I don't know. Why? Oh, because he pays for everything. You need to know what's coming in and what's going out. So that you are, even if we're pulling our resources, even if it's £50 a month, you're able to put aside every month. You have to have a safety net. Because although we say it won't happen to me, we don't want it to happen to me, when that rug is pulled from under your feet, you don't want to find yourself in a situation whereby you have nothing and then you have to wait until you get divorce settlement or financial settlement before you're able to move on. It is a very expensive exercise getting divorced. Another thing I would say is, when you say, we've decided that I'm not going to work, that's another thing I hear very much. We've decided I'm not going to work. I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. I have had those as well, stay-at-home dads. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is where one person is working and making lots of money, and therefore there's no need for the other to work. But even if you're not going to work, there's so many online courses. Do stuff to get you some qualifications. So if that does happen, you've got something to fall back on. If you're going to be in a position where you're going to be sitting at home and not working, you've got to make sure your mind is alert. I say this as well for men, because there's sometimes where it's the woman that's extremely wealthy and comes to see me because husband has stayed at home and has been looking after the children, yes, and has been maintaining the family because we say that's what we're going to do. But then it comes to divorce, what you don't understand is you may have to maintain that person on a monthly basis. The court can order you to pay the maintenance. So you need to fix up and realize this. You can be ordered to pay maintenance, spousal maintenance. It could be for a term, and depending on your age, it could be for your joint lives until one of you kicks the bucket. So you really ought to make sure that you are both supporting each other. You are both working towards a goal. We are both earning, and we will both be okay if anything happens to us, even though we don't want that to happen. And that's very, very important. it's very frustrating when you're sitting in there and you're asking questions about finances and people don't know it. In my head, I want to scream at you, but I can't because I don't want to lose my practicing certificate just yet. But on the other hand, you think, well, when you are in love, we all go along life and just, we're all the butterflies flying and everything, and we forget about reality. The reality is we have to make sure that we look after number one. Not just women, I'm not being sexist, including men. Because people walk into my office to see me. It's the last thing they want to do, but they found themselves in that position, and therefore they have no choice. So if you're not saving, start it now. You have to learn to do it, I believe. I mean, my parents taught me to do it from when I was little. If they give you 5 naira then when you were little, you have to put one naira in your kolo, your little saving box. You've got to put 1 naira in there and then spend 4 naira, whatever it is. And it's important that you teach your children as well how to save. We do this with Jaden all the time, where in the morning he has to do his chores, lay the bed and stuff, and he gets 50p. And he keeps his 50p. And last week he had £5. So he decided I should take him to the co-op for him to buy something. So we take him there. And he picks everything. But then he gets to the till. The man says it's £7. And he turns to me and went, "Mummy, I don't have £7. Well, tough, mate. You have to put stuff down. And honestly, we had a paddy because he wanted £7. But you have to learn that you spend what you've got. And therefore, you must, if you've got, women know how to budget really well. And my husband says, you should ask him, he calls me the embezzlator. I don't embezzle funds. I just say, I know how to look after the money so that when I get our food shopping money, I put £100 in the Amanda pockets. But that's because I have to pay for extras, I'm sorry. And it's very important that you do that. Don't just go crazy and spend. Everybody wants to buy a handbag. Everybody wants to buy shoes. Social media's made it a bit crazy with designers and things like that. But those handbags and shoes won't save you if your relationship breaks down. And even if you have to sell them, it won't be the same value you bought them at. And these things are materialistic anyways. Your mind is far more valuable. Far more valuable than all of that. I mean, I do like my handbag and my shoes, I'll say that. But I like my mind more. I think somebody was saying that you should always give yourself affirmation. I think it was you who said that. They know me at the office. I say I'm the best. I'm sorry. I don't know what you've got to say. And it's important that you tell yourself that, because nobody will. I'm as confident as they come. But I also have moments where I am bricking it. Honestly, I had to do a contested hearing the other day. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And a contested hearing is the whole thing you watch on TV where you're cross-examining somebody and you're trying to get them to trip up and things like that. And I was bricking it, but you would never know. And when I told my secretary, I went, "Oh my God, I was so scared." She went, "You're Amanda, you're never scared." I went, "Oh, you have no idea." Because you're there shaking. But you can't let life get to you. You cannot let things get to you. You've got to change things that you're not happy with. You can't, like Sister Bissy said, don't cry and mourn. Don't let people come over with ice cream and chocolates and stuff. It's only going to make you fat. Just get up and get on. And that's the thing I say to my clients, especially the women. Yes, your relationship is over. It's difficult. They're going to move on with their lives, But you can't stay there crying and whinging and wallowing. You've got to get up, because there is more to life than that. But your coins are very important. You've got to save £10, £15, £20 a month. For example, if I get paid every month, you have a budget of what you do. This goes in savings, this goes here. Even if you say it's £100 every month, I'm actually going to try and save it. You should. I'm not saying you should hide that information from your spouse. You have joint accounts. You also have sole accounts. I always say, babe, I've only got £500 can I have some more? I mean, you've got can I have some more so that it looks nice? And he'll look at me and go, "You like money too?" I'm like, "No, it's not about the spending. I just want to see it." So when the bank statement comes, you're like, hey, and he knows that. It's, I'm not a spendthrift. I don't like to go crazy and spend. I try to have, I spend more on my clothes because at court I like to look good. Yes, that's very important for us. Very, very, appearance is everything. But as much as I like that, I always make sure that you also put something aside. So it's very important that you do that. And look after yourselves, because nobody else will. And love yourself. I mean, I think I'm the best. I honestly do. And if you don't, no, exactly, thank you. I heard that. She said she is the best. So you are. Because nobody's going to tell you that you are unless you tell yourself. Because if you go for a job interview, remember you have to sell yourself to the people who want to hire you. And if you sit there and they go, "Why should we give you this job?" I don't. I've got. Nobody wants to know about your academic achievements anymore, I have to say. They don't. What can you bring to the table? I can promote the firm. I can do this. I can do that. That's what they want to know. They don't want to know whether you got a first class from Timbuktu or anywhere like that. They just want to know what you as a person can bring to the table. So if there's anything that we take away from here today, try to save, try to look after yourself. Always affirm that you are God's gift to mankind. I mean, I don't think there will never be another Amanda Adeola. Let's just put that out there. Never. Even in 100 years' time. And therefore, that would make you unique. But look after your money. Very, very important. I'm serious. You know I'm serious. If you're thinking about a side hustle, do it. I said block out the noise. Yeah. I have to say that it's very, very important. Because everybody has an opinion about how you should live your life. 100%. Just like I say to my clients, Google is not your friend. It's not. Because they will come to me and go, "Yeah, but this person in this case, they've got this financial settlement." Yeah, but did you know what they had in their pot? Did you know the money that they had? So if the woman got the house, do you know what they had before she was able to get the house? They probably had a lot more than you have, so don't compare your case to somebody else's case. And that's not even being shady. That's not even being shady, it's for real. So you cannot compare your life with others.
No.
Be thankful for yours all the time. I'm taking it back to church now. Be thankful for your life and try and save. Because I ain't going to give you none of my coins. Any questions?
No.
Good. Thank you.
Audio Jungle.